All right, so today we coming to you with another episode of Auto Glass Tech Talk, and we got a special guest all the way from Southern California. A lot of you guys have seen his YouTube videos. You've seen him online. You might even have seen him compete in the Windshield Replacement Olympics during Auto Glass Week, but we got Alfredo on. So Alfredo, the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit more about you and what you actually do.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you for the invite. And Alfredo Calva, I've been in the auto glass industry for about 18 years. And, it's a passion for me. I love it. I enjoy it every day. And, I've been pretty much doing anything I could get in my hands on training. Mm-hmm. And now I have the blessing of being able to train other people from what I have learned.
All right, cool. So let's jump into that. I know all three of you guys have actually trained people, mentored people via phone, text, photos, videos, in person. I know, Jeff, you've trained a good guy. You trained Danny Drift. I seen you. Brady came out from Utah for you. And most recently, Alfredo, I saw you train Bill out in Alabama. So let's start this dialogue about how training goes. Like, did people reach out to you guys, or and then when you guys set up training, how does it work? So let's get the details on it. We'll start with you, Jeff, if you can kind of explain how that worked for you.
Good morning, Alfredo. Thanks for being on. I would never have thought this moment would happen, but here we are. So it's kind of awesome. So, Danny, you brought up Danny. Danny, the way it happened with Danny, it wasn't so much the way Chris and Alfredo's were, where people reached out to me to train them. I was in need of a assistant, and Danny was just a kid, like 17 years old, and he had been already working as a helper with the legend Mike Rose. So he had an experience, and I just got him as a trainer, as an assistant, and just through working with me for many, many years, we both evolved, and he took off, and now he works for a good friend of mine here locally, and he's one of the best techs I know here locally. So my situation was a little bit different than, say, Chris's or Alfredo's. So it was just kind of like an evolution of life, so to speak. So, I mean, my experience with him is different. So It was cool, though. I mean, we grew together. He's kind of like a son to me now.
Oh, that's what's up. What about you, Alfredo? Can you explain how, like, you and Bill hooked up? And for those who don't know Bill, we're talking Bill Lambeth. Watch a previous episode. You can hear his story. But how did you and Bill hook up, Alfredo?
So Bill started commenting on my YouTube videos. And so, it went from comments to conversations. And then he was really excited. And, he had a lot of questions about replacements. So I told him, hey, man, I train people for a living, and, I do auto glass for a living. And if you want to, get some on-hands training, you're more than welcome to fly over here, and I'll train you. I already developed a little program, like a 5-day program or 6-day program, where, I try to put everything in there, from putting a molding on to a cold knife and setting tools and all that. So I told him, if you are serious about it, come down here and I'll be more than happy to train you. And of course, when I train people, I ask a couple of questions first, that way they don't waste my time and I don't waste their time. And, they got to be serious about doing auto glass. Otherwise, a whole week wasted for them, a whole week wasted for me,
Right.
That's a lot. Okay. That's a lot of time,
Okay. So you guys started through YouTube, basically, where he commented and then the dialogue started from there?
That is correct, yeah. So it just, from conversation all the way to him flying over here to California.
Right. So with you, Drift, yours happened with Brady through actual Auto Glass Tech Talk, right?
Yeah, it was through Tech Talk. We, I think, I don't remember what it was. It was just either he made a post or someone made a post about, where can I get some training, or where can I go work with someone, and just kind of the same thing. Comments turned into a dialogue, and then was like, hey, can I come out there? And sure, let's just find some time. And yeah, I kind of try to do the same thing as Alfredo a little bit, just like throw a little bit of everything at them. But it's hard in a week. It's a lot to teach someone, everything in a week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, extremely.
So
I when I worked at Safelight, I actually had, the three guys we spoke of all had some training. already prior. They weren't completely raw, but I actually had young kids at Safe Flight who didn't know what a flathead screwdriver was. So I know sometimes, like Alfredo said, it could be a waste of time because the guy doesn't even really interested in it. It's not just, it's just a job to them. It's not really what they're really trying to create as a career.
All right. So here's a question for y'all, right? Is it best to train someone with auto glass experience, or is it best to train someone who knows nothing?
Go ahead, Chris. Go, Chris.
I've done both. My brother and my cousin Joe, both of them started with, Joe especially started with like no experience, no mechanical experience either.
Right.
And that was it was a challenge kind of, for the first 6 months or so, getting them used to this stuff. But I think personally that's the better way to go to me.
Right.
Because you don't have any bad habits, or, you didn't learn this way and now you're trying to reteach yourself, remake your habit into doing it this way, So I think no training.
What about you, Alfredo? What do you think?
I think it's much easier when they don't know anything. They're just fresh, and you start from the very essentials, to using power tool knives and all these other, more high-end tools. But I would say definitely when they don't know anything, man, because trying to go back and forth, sometimes you waste more time telling them, oh no, this is incorrect, and then you have to explain them why it's incorrect, and then they'll get back to you. But I've been doing they always come up with, oh, I've been doing this for forever, and
right.
I've been doing it 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much easier when they just come fresh.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff? You how you feel about it?
I'd have to agree. I mean, if you're getting somebody who, like a youngster who wants to learn, is coming to you and they're looking for a new career, I think that the raw piece of material is great. I mean, I think also to go back to you're saying is teaching older guys, and I think that's what all the groups are really good, because there's a lot of guys in here, like, I mean, just Chris and my relationship started off us bashing each other over wrong technique. So I mean, I think an all-out training, a raw person, but I think also guys like us can really show people who doing something not necessarily improper, just a better technique. It's not necessarily saying you're doing it wrong, but hey, just check this out. Look at this. Check this angle, and they see it. Just like the wire tools. I mean, how many people have first bashed them and now they love them? So
right.
It is what it is.
All right, so going back to the training part, so take me, never done a replacement, heard about it, saw it. I probably could do a replacement from all the things I've seen over the years, from going to training, seeing people out and seeing all the demonstrations and stuff. But so training me, what's windshield replacement 101? What's the first thing that I need to know doing replacements?
Go ahead, Alfredo.
Yeah, go, Alfredo.
First thing you need to know about windshield replacement is like the safety side.
Okay.
Once you build up your mind about how important it is on safety, about replacement, then you start to think about it with more respect. Like, okay, the way we clean, the way we prep the window, the way we prep the body, then the tools come in a second nature, but the first thing to do is like know the safety behind every replacement. So that's what I would start.
Okay, cool. And is that through like Auto Glass Safety Council, or like is it like things y'all follow with the replacement side of it, of where you can find the guides or safety info? Or do you get that from like the urethane manufacturers?
I get it from pretty much both places. Your urethane manufacturer, and of course the Eggers standard. Okay. The Eggers standard is pretty much like an instruction how to do a safe installation. If you follow that, then you're pretty much following every single step safely.
Okay.
I think that I don't know about you guys, but I worked in fast food in high school, and you always get those videos, and they show you the extremes, sticking your hand in a French fryer,
right.
Something crazy happening. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen training where the first thing they do is show you a video for auto glass. This is what happens when a car rolls over and the window isn't in right. I've never seen that. And that might be something that as corny as those McDonald's videos are,
Right.
They drill a point into your head, you know, this stuff's dangerous and this and that. So I'm sure if you saw a video, if I saw a video the first day I did it, glass of a car rolling over and kids flying out of a car or something like that, you know, it might show you the importance of it. And I mean, when I started, we're still rolling butyl on windows. So, you know, the safety was like the last thing anybody even talked about. You know, it's just something to keep the water and the wind out. That's basically all it was. So
Right.
I think that would be a good training tool to implement in our industry.
Right, showing the crash rollover, because yeah, you're right. It tell you at McDonald's, hey, you put your hand in the grease, man, you can lose your hand. And those extremes, some people don't like the extremes, but I do agree with you all. Like, it will make you respect the safety part of it more, because a lot of times it's out of sight, out of mind. You don't really know, like, somebody can die with a windshield that hasn't been installed properly. So yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, and also there's so many vast different things like. You got guys like Bill Stoneking. He's always working on hot rods and stuff like that, where the safety aspect of it is probably, it's not that they're not doing it safe. It's just, it's a car that's going to be a show car and stuff like that. So you're not really concerning so much stuff like that as doing somebody's windshield in their family van, you know? So it also depends on what side of the industry you're going to get into also, I think.
Okay. And what do you mean by what side of the industry? More like fleet? Is it more?
Well, not even necessarily fleet. Like, if you're getting into the custom side of it,
okay,
it's a whole different world than necessarily just doing standard replacements.
Gotcha.
You know, the three of us are mostly standard replacements every single day, you know, with a little bit of custom stuff in there. So,
okay,
you know, we're hyper on the safety aspects of it. I mean, I know Alfredo is, you know, the beating the drum always about, you know, safety, which not a lot of people do, and it's a good thing.
Right. So going back to the safety and ethics part. So safety, I think that's your group, right, Alfredo? Safety and ethics?
Yes, correct.
All right, cool.
Yep.
But going back on the safety part, so when it comes to getting your urethane, right, do y'all like, I know y'all have all your preference, but in training someone, do you train them up on the different urethanes or explain the different urethanes, or how does that actually work?
You know,
go ahead, go Grace. Go, bro.
I'll say this one I've kind of been experimenting with. So, you know, I've been trying all the different urethane manufacturers and stuff, taking their tests, doing their certifications and stuff. And now, if I had someone coming back to me to train again, I would probably be getting a few different ones and, you know, have them try the different things. You know, they're all different. They all have great aspects of them. Okay. But yeah, definitely try it all.
Okay. And so this is me. I'm mostly repair, right? Know a lot of the stuff in the industry, but mostly repair. So question, what would be the top 3 urethane manufacturers, I guess?
What do you think, Alfredo? I know what I'm going to say, so I want to hear what you're going to say.
I would say Dow, Sika, and the third one. Let me think. I mean, I would say.
I'll throw it out there.
SRP.
Okay, so SRP.
That's the same thing I want to say.
Okay.
I mean,
that's.
But I mean, Dow and Sika, that's like 1A and 1B, because you know that's like you know the Yankees and the Red Sox right there. Right. But yeah, you're right there. Those are the 3. You know, it's Alfredo. I don't remember. You're a Sika guy, aren't you?
Dow.
Oh, you're a Dow guy too. Okay, yeah. I don't remember. When I went to your shop, I couldn't remember. We talked more about the chip repairs than the urethane
replacement. So. Yeah.
So all 3 of y'all all use Dow?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I use currently I've been using SRP, but I still have Dow in my van. I have Dow, SRP, and Dynol in my van right now.
Okay.
Oh wow. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I got some SRP in my garage right now.
Okay. Yep. So when it comes to so far as going back on the training part, so using the urethane, why would you use Dow? Say, is it preference like Dow over Sika? Is it like Nike, Adidas, or is it something that actually made you what made you lean more towards Dow?
Okay. Go ahead, Alfredo.
For me, it's just how the material works. You know, if you shoot a nice bit of urethane, you know, like the V shape, of course. Then when you're decking the glass, it doesn't squeeze out all over the place. It doesn't smell. It just sets in. You know, I rarely ever use tape. It just like holds it together. And I mean, I use other urethanes, and Sika's pretty much the same, but it's very tacky. I mean, just small preferences. You know, when you're applying it, it just makes it so much easier to apply for me. And when you paddle it, and I mean, even the newest Express 30, man, that just to me, that's just so easy to manipulate, you know. So
Okay.
Yeah, I
it's just a
agree on it.
preference of how easy it is to apply.
I think a little bit has to go into the region you're at. And I know Alfredo and our weather is pretty similar. Chris is a little cooler than us, but none of us work like high humidity areas. So
Right.
I know that has a lot to do with it. I personally, when I worked at Safelight, I used Sika for years. And when I got out of Safelight, I didn't want anything to do with Safelight. So that's why I switched to Dow.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
All right.
And now the product is just phenomenal. You know, Mark O'Brien got me some Sika, and I mean, Mark's a great guy, and I know a lot of great guys use Sika, but it ain't me.
Yeah.
Not my thing.
So what about you, Drift? What made you kind of go towards Dow, or made you use SRP that you're using now? What was the reasoning behind that?
So I was a Sika guy beforehand. I was, big Sika, and but that was all like P2G plus before I had any real like education or knowledge on anything. So as soon as Express 30 came out, boom, I knew there was 30-minute stuff, and I was like, oh shit, this is good stuff.
Okay.
Using it. The more I started looking at everything, and I tried some of the Sika Mach 60, Mach 30 and stuff, and I do a lot of repeat stuff. So I've cut out a lot of my past jobs, and sometimes some of them are a little bit harder than others, especially if I'm trying to, save a window or something for a customer. It's at a body shop.
Okay.
I do a lot of body shops, and, sometimes people crash their cars 2 or 3 times, and I got to cut the quarter out 2 or 3 times. So,
all right. So,
yeah. And then, SRP, I really like. One thing that I really do like about them is they have a 12-minute working time. Okay. So if, you got to give it a little wiggle, you're good still. Or that Express 30, it's you set it like Alfredo said, you set it, no tape, it's solid. You don't need to move it.
It's like Ronco, set it, forget it.
All right, cool. Yeah. So here go a question for y'all. I see this question a lot in the group, and I don't know the answer to this. So I'm asking y'all for the insight for training. So I'm the trainee, right? So we're using urethane, regardless of who we're using. Are we going sausage or are we going cartridge? Why do you pick one over the other, or why?
I'll jump in real quick here. So I personally like sausage, and I came upon an opportunity, and I got a bunch of cartridges from Dow, and I switched up for a little bit, and so many guys are like, oh, the sausage gun's too heavy, this and that. Man, the heavier gun, for me, I get way better control shooting. I can just tell my beads look a million times better, because I just recently got back to the sausage, and it's plus the cost and the waste. There's less trash, and you get more glue out of it. For me, it's a cost thing more than anything.
Gotcha. What about you, Alfredo?
The cost. It's just, and then you don't have to keep refilling, and your trash can doesn't get filled up with 10 tips of urethane in one day.
Right.
They squeeze down. It's very minimal. So, and I like you said, Jeff, it's better control, because you're literally just guiding the gun. Like if you do it right, you don't have to be carrying the gun. You just let that nozzle lay on the either the glass or the pinch weld, and just guide it. So it makes it easier.
Okay. And what about you, Drift? Which way do you go?
I'm sausage all the way. I used cartridge for a long time, and I still use it here and there if I have to grab some. But for me, I use sausage because I run the glass a lot on almost like 95% of everything I do. Even if I'm hand setting, I still run the glass, and I just like that one solid bead. It drives me nuts having the multiple connections, especially when you're shooting the glass. So
jump back to what you said earlier a little bit, Chris, about doing repeat customers and everything.
Yeah.
Now I got my wife working with me, as some of you guys have seen, and she was talking to a customer yesterday, and she was saying how when it's a job that he did before, he knows it's going to be easy, so he doesn't have to worry about all this junk. And man, either a brand new car or a repeat car, I hate doing the randoms, because it's like getting a watermelon. It may look good on the outside, but once you cut it open, it could be a bunch of junk on the inside. That's how some of these cars are.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to you on this. I'm gonna start with you, Alfredo, on this question I have. So I'm a newbie. I'm learning. You training me, right? Do we put the urethane on the, like we take it out? Do we put when we put the new windshield in? Do we put the urethane on the window or do we put it on the actual frame of the car? How does that work?
I would say for a newbie, you already have a map on the body, so I would tell you to learn how to shoot the body first, because
Okay.
you know where it is, and yeah, you don't have to have that much experience of on the bottom. You know, when sometimes it goes way up or it curves down on the actual glass. So for me, I would say on the body, just because you have already a map right there to follow.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that.
Totally.
That's
Okay.
extremely.
So as
Yeah,
you get
see the old bean.
so as you get better doing replacements, is it a time where you put it on the windshield, or putting it on the body, or does that just come from just learning? Or is it?
I didn't start putting it on the glass until I got a setting tool. I've only been shooting the glass for like 3 years.
Okay.
I was always shooting the body before that, because without a setting tool, I mean, unless you got two people, it's kind of hard setting a window.
Okay.
You know, if you get something big, I mean, something small, yeah, I can see it being easy, but man, you ain't setting no giant window with the glue on the glass without a setting tool.
Okay. So that leads and jumping into my next question then, and I'm keeping it like me. Like I said, I'm a newbie, don't know much. I've seen a lot of these things, but don't know the time and the need to use them. And anybody that's watching this, whether you're a urethane rep or a setting tool rep, any rep in replacement, feel free to hit us up and you can explain your tool and your procedure better than we can. So let us know if you want to explain why. But going back to the setting tool, being new and training someone, what kind of setting tool would you teach people to use and why? And we'll go with you, Drift.
I mean, everyone knows my answer on this one, but I mean, realistically, I mean, it'd be a 2-person set for a while, just until they were even comfortable holding the glass over the body. You know, a lot of times when you get a new person, they want to grab it here, grab it there, and you know, like it's all wobbly and everything. So I'd be a 2-man set on everything for a long time, and then probably honestly I'd go with the Pro Set.
Okay.
I had Joe use the Pro Set for, you know, after like 3 months, I think. And first time it was still wobbly, but you know, it's a good 1-man tool.
Okay. What about you, Alfredo? What do you go with when it comes to setting tools?
Setting tools. When I do a program, I normally ask a few questions, and that's one of the questions that I ask before they come out and say, do a little research. I send them, of course, a few lists of different setting tools out there.
Okay.
And I pretty much have all the setting tools here, the most popular ones. So they get to try every single one of them themselves, and then we'll go from there. We'll do about 4 hours of just setting tools, and they get to try the most popular ones. So
Okay.
they could pick whatever they want to do the next 2 days. I normally do it on Wednesdays. I don't let them touch anything till Wednesday.
Okay.
Once they get a little more experience, and then they'll start doing their on-hands training. So it's just a personal preference, you know. Some people are taller, shorter, and they have just their own preference.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like
what about you, Jeff? What are you doing when it comes to setting?
I'll be honest with you. I was a 2-man guy for up until 2017.
Gotcha.
And I did get a little buddy first. Could never figure it out. I know some guys are wizards with it. I couldn't figure it out. And, you know, being strictly on the road, sometimes you don't have the time to really try to learn something that's, you know, and I didn't have anybody to show me either.
Okay.
And then I got the Pro Set, and it was just natural. So, I mean, I would show them the Pro Set, but if I was training somebody new, I would reach out to somebody, you know, local to me who's good with the little buddy or the solo.
Okay.
You know, so they can get that training also, because you got to know as much as you possibly can.
Okay.
You know, for sure. But, you know, back to what you were saying about when you get trained, people ask, why do I set the windows from, I don't know, the opposite side, I guess, the 90% of, you know, guys in America set. It's because the first 3 years of my career, I never got to stand on the driver's side of the car. So now it's just natural to be on that side.
Okay.
So that's why, you know, the people training me were like, nope, I'm on the driver's side, get over there. So I just learned that way.
Okay.
So I guess I can go work in London and be okay. So
yeah. So is there a preference, or like, is it a rhyme or a reason why you should set it from one side or the other?
I got a good answer for this one. So,
I mean, yeah, go Chris. Let's hear your explanation.
All right, so I set both sides. I can set both sides by hand, setting tool, everything now. I've found that some cars are easier to set from the passenger side. The older Nissan Muranos, they have such a huge like dip in the bottom that if you set from the driver's side, it just makes it so hard to get that thing under there. But if you set from the passenger side, the dip is the last thing going in, so you can really control that going under the hood.
Okay.
I mean, most cars have that big dip on the passenger side. I mean, you know, all the Nissans and some of the Mazdas. So, I mean, I hardly ever set from the driver's side. What side do you set from, Alfredo? Mostly driver's side?
Driver's side, but I do both. When I started, I would just play one car. I would do left, and then the other one I would do the right side. But it was funny you said that because my son, he's been working for me for years, right? So the other day, you know, I tell him, I'm going driver's side. Dad, I just know how to sit from the passenger side. I don't know how to sit from the driver's side.
You know what's funny is guys think I'm left-handed, but I'm not. I'm right-handed, and I try to explain to them. I go, if you're sitting from the passenger side, the weight of the window is actually on your right arm.
Okay.
Correct.
So if your strong hand is your right hand, wouldn't you want the weight on your stronger hand? You know, and plus, I mean, years of playing video games, I can use my left hand, so or whatever. Right. So,
yeah, that's something I tried this year. I actually said this year, like Steph Curry inspired me to be ambidextrous, to use your right hand, left hand, because he can shoot a 3-pointer with either hand, right? So I've been learning to write my name. That was my goal, to learn how to write my name legibly with my left hand and use my left hand more. Because if some shit happened to your right hand, you're screwed if you don't know how to use your left. So I just always thought that you should, probably most people, you go from the driver's side because it's just right or whatever, but that's interesting to know, because I would have never known why you choose a side or what. So appreciate y'all for that info. Next question I got for y'all with training. So you got the urethane part down. Is it using urethane and primer, or what's the need for primer?
Go, Alfredo.
So the primer works as a bridge. You know, it connects both sides of the world. So you want to be able to adhere to the existing urethane, and, you know, freshly cut urethane is always the best bonding surface. And then, of course, on the glass, you know, it depends on what urethane you're using. You either, you know, use an activator or use a primer, so that bridge works together. Because if you don't put that bridge in between, it ain't going to work. Just letting it up in the air.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of it. I've never heard that before. That's
awesome.
Me
neither. That's a good analogy.
That makes a lot of sense when you say it too, especially telling someone new.
Yeah. All right. So another question I got, and I'll start with you on this, Jeff. All right, so I'm new. I found my glass distributor. You know, it's plenty of glass distributors, and for anybody looking, they know who they are: Migrant, Pilkington, PGW, and so on and so forth with them. But when getting a windshield, do you have a particular brand that you use? Is it like, how do you choose which windshield we need for the actual job?
You know, that's kind of like a trick question, sort of like, because.
Sorry, I didn't know. I'm new to it. So.
No, explain why. It's nothing about, you know, like a brand. It's, you can't say one particular brand of glass is good across the board.
Okay.
Because I found cars that a Pilkington works perfect, but an FY won't. And then I have other cars where an FY works perfect and a Pilkington looks like crap. Okay. And another issue is, you may get an FY that's made 1038, you may get one made somewhere else. You know, even Carlight for a while was being made by PGW, which was actually being made by XYG. So there was a big run of 1747 Carlights that were just garbage, because they were made, basically they had a fancy name on it, but they're basically bootlegs. So the brand thing, it really comes with experience and time. But I mean, FYG and Pilkington, those are like the staples for the aftermarket world. I mean, if you get into like Bensons and XYGs and all this other Vitros that are garbage, so it's more of a per car, per experience, trial and error, so to speak. I mean, we've all been there.
So you do more trial and error, like a fit. So if I got an F-150, it's more off the fit, or just preference. You use one and it worked fine, so you keep using that. Yeah,
basically. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I can't really think of a better way to explain it myself.
I think it's as you go, man. Because like you said, you know, you learn over time. Like I'm not getting a 3485 from Vitro because that molding sucks, you know, like
Right.
then you go from there, you know, and I kind of lean like on who is the original manufacturer. So like Honda uses a lot of PGW. So if I could find a PGW, somehow the molds are the glass is a lot better when it's the original manufacturer, you know. So I sometimes I go from that, but over here in California, we got a lot of people that want the best, and they don't care. They'll pay for the best. So sometimes I get premium glass, and I consider sometimes Pilkington premium because they do. I mean, other than the rearview mirror brackets falling off, but I could live with that than a high distortion or the glass not fitting correctly.
Yeah.
But I had those issues where the glass does not fit. Like I had, not to put PGW down, but I had a PGW that was like a bubble, like like it just would not settle down into the body. It had this big old curve kind of sticking out on the roof, and it's just. But I mean, you learn as you go. But sometimes you have no choice. That's whatever's available is the only thing you got. So you got to work with it. So
well, and sometimes you get those customers. You get those customers that it's branded in their head that they heard a name, and and it's usually the older crowd that's that way, from my experience.
So go for it, Drew. For what you're saying.
I was gonna say, I'm kind of the same with this Alfredo on that. I try to go with the brand, like whatever manufacturer was in there before. Migrant carries a lot of AP Tech for the Toyotas, and I'll have the customer send me like the picture of the bug on the window, so I can check the brand. If it's a AGC or if it's a Pilkington, I order the Pilkington. It's just
All right, so here's my next question, right? So I'm thinking clothing, right? So if I got a pair of Nike shoes, I'm gonna wear Nike shorts or Nike shirt, right? So most of these glass manufacturers don't make the molding, right? So how do you choose a molding?
Trial and error, just like the glass.
Trial and error.
Trial and error. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any?
There's some moldings that the GGG works perfect on some cars, and then there's some cars where the OE Tech molding works perfect. And sometimes there's cars where you have to get the OE. There's no aftermarket would work right. And there's even some where the universal, where guys like us can just make a universal molding that looks 10 times better and fits better than the molding you get from the store.
Everyone, my transit van, it's a DW 1815. I've done a lot of these vans. I have a fleet of them, and the moldings are terrible on them. I always use Carlite just because it's the best fitting. But recently, this last time, I put a GGG molding on, and man, this is the best molding I have found. I've tried all the other ones, Flexi, PRP, all of them, and for some reason, this is like the last one I've tried, and it works flawlessly. It's still just trial and error.
You got anything to add to that, Alfredo, or just trial and error?
Just by experience, you get to know, your moldings. Sometimes what I do, it sounds crazy, but I study the moldings, man. Like I'll say for these cars, this brand, and for these other cars, this brand. And then for a while, back in the years, man, believe it or not, I will get a NACS book and write it down. Like this is the one, because I used to use my NACS book a lot. And I have a NACS book that has all kinds of notes. Like this is what you use, this is what you don't use. And it actually helped me develop, the name brands and the part numbers. And so now I know a lot of part numbers, DOT numbers, and moldings that work.
I know this has got to piss you guys off, though, when you get a really good piece of glass and you do a really good job, and then the molding just makes it look like crap. And all the hard work you just did over a $2 part, man. If I had hair, I'd pull it out.
Yeah. Shout out to the molding reps that's in the group. Mark Daniels, Joel, Derek, everybody from Marcy to Precision to the GGG. Anybody want to tell us more about moldings or explain it in great detail, hit us up so we can hear your take on it, and because you can explain it better than we can. And appreciate y'all for the knowledge I'm getting so far. Now, another question, so you put the windshield in, right? You walk a mall parking lot, you see these windows with blue tape. So help me understand why blue tape and what's the tape for?
Go ahead, Alfredo.
Okay, so I actually use this as a sell pitch to my customers. Like
Okay.
I hardly ever use tape. So every time, most of the times when the car leaves from my shop, I mean, if it's safe to drive, what the tape going to do, So
Exactly.
Right.
it has a lot to do on the urethane, because if you put 418, or PG2, that glass is going to slip. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you do. I mean, if it doesn't have stops on the bottom, it's going to slip. But if you shoot the bead correctly on the glass or the body,
Mm-hmm.
and you set the glass, that thing will stay there. Like, it will literally stay there. Like, you probably put tape for about 8 minutes, or I mean, by the time that you put everything back together, you take the tape off. I mean, there's of course a few special cases where the underside of molding is pushing the glass down, and then I'll tell my customer, you take this tape off in 1 hour, and then in 1 hour they're not going to have any problem. But I sell that. I normally tell my customers, if you see a car on the road with blue tape, that car shouldn't be driving, because you shouldn't have the tape for longer than an hour there.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, I use the little Marcy strips that has a little writing on there that says, remove within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my customers I'll leave the tape on for an hour and peel it off. If I'm not there, and I know it's leaving, after the 30 minutes and stuff, I just tell them to leave it on for an hour and pull it off after that. Any longer than that it's just not necessary.
All right. Cool. You got anything to add to that, Jeff?
Not really. I mean, other than the few times where you're doing a Honda, like a Pilot or something, and you gotta re-glue down the clips, for the side molding. But I mean, other than that, I the same thing. I take the tape off because not only does it look tacky, but out here, because it's so hot, the tape will work loose, and you'll get a crazy wind noise from the tape whistling on the car. I mean, I had it on my own truck one time. I put the windshield in my truck, and I had to take off right away, so I just left the tape and took off.
Okay.
And like an hour later, I'm like, I know my window ain't air leaking.
Right.
The tape was flipping on up and down the roof. So it's just, and plus, when you got the tape on there, I get some nosy customers. If you got tape on there, you gives them one more place of emphasis to come and pick their nose around and start looking.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be perfect, but they think it's not perfect. You
Right.
do a car with no molding on it, and they take the tape off and they don't see a molding, and they're like, you didn't put a molding on my car. But if you never would have put the tape,
lot.
yeah, but if you never would have put the tape on there, they would never have been poking their nose up there to begin with. So
Okay. That makes sense.
That's,
Yeah. So my next question, I'm mindfully out of time, so I'll kind of wrap it up here, but I'll start with you, Drift, on this one. I'm training with you. What's the take home that you want me to take away from being trained? What is your take home message to me?
I would just want you to be safely, comfortably able to remove and reinstall a window, safely and comfortably.
All right.
That's really it,
Cool. What about you, Alfredo? What would be the take home message that when people come train with you, what do you want them to take home from the training?
Both the safety and the knowledge and the skills. It's just both. They both go together. You can't just say, "Oh, I know how to do a window because I know how to cut it out and put it back in."
Mm-hmm.
You can't just say that, because you need to know the safety behind it. So when they leave here, they know the safety, and you can't learn everything 1 week, but at least they'll have an idea how to do in installation. And it's just, I always tell them, go to the junkyard. Don't go and work on a customer's car right after you get trained.
Right.
Go to the junkyard, shoot the glue there,
Mm-hmm.
set the glass there, and they done it. So,
Okay.
Yep, just safety and knowledge.
Safety and knowledge and skills. All right, cool. What about you, Jeff?
the safety and knowledge, just to respect the job. I get really frustrated that the public doesn't really respect us in the automotive world. They respect the body band, respect the painter. I always say that sometimes the Jiffy Lube guys got more respect than we got. So just to respect the job and to never stop learning. You always never stop asking questions. I mean, all of us still ask questions.
Right.
You got to keep your mind open. You can't a closed mind is a dead mind. So you got to keep your mind open to keep learning.
Right. So safety, knowledge, skills, and repetition, and the mindset to keep learning. So appreciate all y'all for all that info. So let's switch gears up a little bit, right? And I got a couple of questions for you that we got here, and we do this every segment. We ask a couple of questions. So we're gonna start with you on this one, Drift. When something breaks in your home, so whether it's your car or something in your home. So let's just say your brakes go out. Do you do your brake job yourself, or your microwave go out? Do you try to repair it, or do you just replace it?
All right, so that's a perfect one. We just had our Joe's van was making some wild noise, ABS lights going off, tow it back home.
Mm-hmm.
So we just take a look at it real quick and find out it's the hub is all messed up. We do it ourselves.
Okay.
Normally I would take it in, but we were just on a time crunch, need to get back on the road. So I'm pretty mechanical. I do it myself, and we got the one side off. It was really bad, So I'm like, well, we're just changing the whole brakes. The brakes they're a little older too.
Okay.
So then we go to the other side, take it off, and boom, the other hub is bad. Or it's not all the way bad. It's just barely going bad.
Right.
Like, what? Replace it all. Just replace it all. Just
Gotcha.
rather be safe than sorry later down the road.
All right. Cool.
With the same thing with the microwave too. I'm gonna replace the. You put the foil inside of it, it's never the same.
Right. What about you, Alfredo? What are you, a repair guy or are you a replacement guy? What you gonna do?
I'm a repair guy, man. I love fixing things. I just enjoy fixing things. I opened up my first laptop when I was like 14 years old.
Okay.
And I learned all the hardware and the software. I learned pretty much the technical side of it, and I enjoy fixing things. So it's like an accomplishment. So yeah, I'm a pretty handy guy. I do fence, I do tile,
Okay.
I do drywall, I paint. I
Oh,
paint in
shit.
my own home, and
Wow.
so I do landscaping. I do sprinklers. I could set up all kinds of valves. I love doing handiwork.
Handiwork. Okay.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
What
One-stop
about
shop.
you, Jeff? What are you?
Probably 50-50. When I had, like, talking about the vehicles, when I had my older work truck, I would dive in there. I mean, there's some pictures of me with my whole dashboard taken apart. So I like to fix stuff, but now with time crunch and things like that, it's just so much easier just to let someone else do it. Like, if say I need to get brakes in my truck, I would just drop it off the dealership and I'd go do something else. I'd go make sales calls or do something else.
Right.
Use that time because time's of essence. But around the house, I like tinkering with stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have a vast knowledge of stuff, but between YouTube and Google and trial and error, I'll try anything.
So you YouTube certified. I feel you.
That's right.
With
YouTube
no
certified master
fix
technician.
everything.
Yeah, for me, I look at it. I try to analyze it. Like, is it something simple or is it gonna take a bunch of time? And for me, time is money. I probably just replace that shit. Other times, how you get involved in something, you're like, oh, this is a 5-minute job, and that shit turned in like a 30-minute job. And so I'm like, screw it, let me just replace it. So I'm more of a replacer guy instead of trying to fix it, because I had the greatest intentions and it feel good when you fix it yourself, but then you're like, man, I wasted so much time and I'm missing then put a screw back in, right? Like, hey, screw this, let me just replace it.
But YouTube is great. I mean, Cynthia's trying to learn how to tint, and she's been studying YouTube like a hound. So I know it, when we were kids, there was no YouTube. It was just, go hurt yourself.
Right.
So, YouTube is great.
All right, so here goes my last question, and we'll start with you on this one, Jeff. If you could describe your life in one word, what would be that one word? I could be 2 words.
Evolving.
Evolving. I feel you. Evolving. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go to you, Drift. What would be your one word?
Man, one word. Shoot. Man, wild.
Wild. Okay.
Wild. A lot of ups and downs.
Ups and downs. Wild. Okay, cool. What about you, Alfredo? What would be your one word to describe your life?
Job, the book of Job.
Job. Okay. Why that?
Yeah, I have a story, man, behind my life, but that would be a whole nother segment. So if you read the book of Job, I have a very similar life story of my own life.
All right, cool. We'll look that up. Everybody watching, look up the book of Job. When you have any questions, private message Alfredo. He'll give you the story or set you up on that. My one word would probably be different. I've always been different in life and do things on my own way, my own time, my own terms. So I would say my word would be different. So there you have it.
You're definitely different, man. Hey, I want to say something, man.
All right, go for it.
It's really nice to see that, even though you're with Delta, that you're just open-minded for any other company, windshield repair company out there. And that's admiring to see, that you don't just close your head or your mind down because, oh, these people are related to this other windshield repair company, you know, and you guys are doing an awesome job of that.
Well, I appreciate that, man. The whole group, it's all about, if you know better, you do better. When it comes to windshield repair, when it comes to replacements, with everything, man, it's so many ways to get to where you're trying to go. And it really just come down to preference. It's like everybody, when we go home at the end of the day, it's multiple ways you can get home. The whole goal is to get home. You know what I mean? So however you get there, you get there. So I don't knock what anybody use, what anybody do, because at the end of the day, I don't want nobody to judge me and knock what I do in life. So, and that's the whole goal about the group, on people knowing better and doing better. And to go back to Jeff's point, evolving. We all can evolve, and sometimes you evolve just from hearing knowledge. You know what I mean? And knowledge is power. So we appreciate all y'all for the knowledge and the power. And before we let y'all get out of here, we always ask, from now to the end of the week, you got any cool jobs, or what kind of jobs you got going on? We'll start with you, Alfredo. What you working on?
I have a 2020 BMW that I'm maybe. Okay. Well, we might not get it. The glass is not available until 10 days. So might not get it done, but we're hoping to get it done.
2020 BMW. That's what's up. What about you, Jeff? What you got?
I think I got some more Raptor trucks coming up. I've kind of got a niche here locally. To become the Ford pickup guy. So I think I got a couple more of those on dock. I'm actually driving to northern Arizona this weekend, up to Dave Rittenhouse's area to go do a job. So might stop in and surprise him.
Shout out to Dave. What about you, Drift? What you got going on the rest of the week?
Today's my big day, actually. I got a 63 Thunderbird to put back together. And I took it apart like almost a month ago. So I got all the bolts like stuck into a box, labeled and everything. You know, it's all itemized, but not looking forward to that one today.
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all and appreciate your time, and stay focused on the job, and good luck with all your jobs. And until next time, everybody take care.